Welcome to the Healers Café, conversations on health and healing with Manon Bolliger, a retired and deregistered naturopathic physician with 30 plus years of experience. Here you will discover engaging and informative conversations between experienced healers, covering all aspects of healing, the personal journey, the journey of the practitioner, and the amazing possibilities for our own body and spirit.
So, welcome to the Healers Café. And today I have with me Art Giser. He's the creator of Energetic NLP. It's a special blend of NLP and neuro-linguistic programming, spiritual principles, and transformative energy work. He is an internationally renowned NLP trainer, executive coach, intuitive, and master healer. So I'm very excited to find out what is this difference that, between you're using NLP, but there's more to it. Tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got to this, actually.
Well, thank you. And I'm really happy to be on your program. I so appreciate what you're putting out in the world. So I can briefly explain what NLP is and what energetic NLP is. And a lot of people nowadays think they know what NLP is. And I'm always amazed at how many people who've been through NLP classes, you don't have any clue as to what NLP is. And NLP is really the study of the subjective nature of experience, and it stands for neuro-linguistic programming. And what they mean by the subjective nature of experience is the people that started NLP were looking at different approaches than traditional psychology at the time. Because at the time, traditional psychology was you had to be in therapy for 5 years, 10 years, and it was all about if you just understood why you were the way you were, that eventually it might heal and get better. And the people who started NLP went, well, there's some therapists who get really fast results, with most of their clients. So what are they doing differently? And by studying them, that was the birth of NLP. And in NLP, we're less, and I've been an NLP trainer since 1985, and I studied with all the developers of NLP. And in NLP, while we deal with the past, the emphasis on NLP is more like what's going on in the present. So let's say somebody has a bridge phobia. Well, no matter how they got that bridge phobia, every time they get to a bridge, their brain has to create it again. So in NLP, we start with like, what's going on in our minds that create either our problems or our skills, abilities, and things that empower us. And so a lot of NLP is about finding out people that have abilities, whether it's painting a picture or doing math or having great relationships or being intuitive, and finding out what are they doing in their thinking processes, consciously and unconsciously, and then how do you teach other people how to do it. Energetic NLP combines that with spiritual principles, transformative energy work, particularly remote energy work, and spiritual principles. So it brings together essentially everything I've learned that I think really helps people over the last 40 years.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So how do you define then sort of spiritual and energetic principles? Like, what does that mean to you?
Well, for one thing, I define everything very loosely.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, when I teach a training program, I have something I call the Energetic NLP Pledge. And I won't go through the whole thing, but what they have to pledge is they're not going to believe anything I tell them. And that I go, I want you to explore what I'm saying and use it to find and connect with your own spiritual information. And I made up a term, beliefs du jour, like soup du jour.
Right.
And I'll tell people, when I don't believe what I'm saying. This is what I think today, and 10 years from now, I might say something different. So my goal is to get people in touch with their unconscious and spiritual wisdom, and to bring that into their lives, and to bring up more and more of the amazing potential that we all have.
Yeah, that's interesting. So in a sense, making a distinction between what you not identifying basically with what you believe, right? Because the belief is
Yeah.
a temporaneous
Yeah.
event because it's just thoughts, and thoughts change, right? So yeah, so in a sense, by reconnecting to a deeper intuitive knowing of what feels right or not, is that, am I a little bit on track there?
Yeah, you're totally on track. And I don't know if you're familiar with the term grok or grokking.
No.
It was made up by an American science fiction writer named Robert Heinlein, who wrote a book called Stranger in a Strange Land, but it's actually in the dictionary now.
Okay.
And grokking something is like when you know how like sometimes you just know something, you can't even necessarily describe it, but you're one with it, you get it. The painter Paul Klee, Klee, who's considered one of the greatest painters of the 20th century, he was known for his use of color. In his autobiography, he talks about something happened. He was in the desert at night in Tunisia, I think, somewhere in North Africa, and he goes, "I became one with color." And so it went from being, and he had studied color, and he knew it intellectually, but he became one with it and could use it in a whole different way. So in people have always talked about in spirituality, like the great mysteries, and that certain things are ineffable. In energetic NLP, we try to describe things because you have to, but the description when you get into energy work and spirituality, to me, is always a little tiny box of a great complex reality. So in energetic NLP, we really emphasize grokking, that you know something. It doesn't mean you can put it into words, but you know it, you become one with it. Like you said, it's a deep understanding.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, what is spirituality to me? To me, it's our thoughts and our feelings about our relationship to life, the universe, and beyond merely thinking of things in a directly physical way. You know, it's whatever we think. You know, whether you're an atheist or you're religious or you're quote unquote spiritual, we all have beliefs about what all this is. And some people believe, well, none of this means anything. It's purely accidents of molecules way back when, and then evolution. And other people think it's all divinely run and everything in between. So to me, whatever people's thoughts are on all that is their spirituality.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm going back to your other point. I agree with that completely. But grokking, you know, to me, it's like resonating. Is that it's almost like you're on the same wavelength, which is why your body absorbs it as a yes. You know, it feels right. Is that another way of looking at grokking?
Exactly. And it's like when somebody goes, "Oh, I know what you're going through." And sometimes you realize, like, no, you don't. I mean, they can use the words. So like, I will never know what it's like to be pregnant. I've had enough female clients that I have maybe more idea than a lot of guys, but but I will never totally grok. I mean, I will never understand it fully. And you can tell sometimes when somebody is grokking your experience. You can feel it, that they really are getting it, and it's not the words they say, it's something else.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
And I think that ties back to, I went back, but I'm now jumping back to what we were just saying, or you were just saying about spirituality. It's also that resonating in the vast pool of, made up by some elements, or it's, orchestrated divinely, or wherever in between. It's like there's a piece at which we're at peace with. Right?
I think that's a great description. There's a lot of people go, "I'm not very spiritual," but then you see them taking a walk in nature, and they are so connected to everything. They're just not labeling it as spiritual.
It's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Well, that explains a lot. So, okay. So how does it? Can you give us an example, or how does it work, or how? Yeah.
Well, let me start with a couple of concepts that are unique to energetic NLP that will give a framework. One is what we call your miraculous self, which I always have to say, it's not your high self. Your high self just exists. Your miraculous self only kind of sort of exists until you start working with it. And it ties in with that idea I'll get into called whole being permission and alignment. People tend to think it's like when people talk about manifestation and visualize what you want, they're usually talking about consciously doing it. And then if they're a little broader, they go, well, there's also your unconscious mind. Well, there's a lot more to all of us than that. You have a spirit, you have a soul, you have a conscious mind, you have an unconscious mind that we say in energetic NLP is not a monolith. It has all different aspects to it. It's not some inner child work as inner children, and you have wise parts and playful parts and angry parts. We have, which is great. It gives us our complexity and our flexibility. So you've got your spirit, your soul, your conscious mind, the different parts of your unconscious mind, your body. So all of those have their own agendas. And then along with that, you exist, I believe, de jure, you exist in a karmic field, and you have what are called spiritual contracts, agreements that your spirit or soul has made. So often people go, well, I keep visualizing what I want, but it doesn't happen. And when I'll work with them, the communication I'll get maybe from the soul is like, I don't want that. And one of my students compares it to, like, think of somebody in a chariot with 5 horses and they're all running different directions. And they're going, well, but that horse is going that way. Why am I not going that way? And I first noticed this in clients years ago. They really want something, and we work with the conscious and unconscious mind. But sometimes then when I would tune into their energy, their soul would be going, no, or their body would be something different, or parts of the unconscious mind would be in conflict with other parts. So in energetic NLP, the goal is to have what we call whole being permission and alignment, so that your spirit, your soul, your conscious mind, your unconscious mind, your body are all in aligned in what they're trying to manifest. And then with a person's karma and their spiritual contracts, so that there's permission for all of that to happen.
Yeah, that feels it feels very aligned. It's true, because if you don't have all parts of you on board, something's gonna give, right, or pull you in the other direction, right? And then your mind is stuck trying to figure it out, when it isn't really a mind thing. It could be any of those layers. Yeah, that's I love the way you've put that.
Thanks. And the way it shows up is either it doesn't manifest, or you almost manifest it, but it falls apart, or you manifest it, but you can't maintain it, or the symptoms of that, they're not being in alignment. Or in the other symptom, you should just keep your life smaller, which I don't think, I don't have a judgment on that. I mean, I think some people, that's their life path, to keep, like small. I don't mean smaller as bad, but they just keep in a box, and that's what they're doing this lifetime. Those kind of people probably aren't watching your podcast.
No, I would agree with that. Let's put it that way.
And for the rest of us, we go, well, I know there's so much more to me, and what are the invisible cages here? What's keeping me in?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I'm just doing some self-reflection as you're sharing that, but though my 30 years I've been in practice with people, helping this whole process along, doing different modalities, but I think very aligned with what you're saying. At least my intuitive self has picked up on all these aspects. What was interesting, though, is when I took business classes, the one thing missing that often practitioners don't do, I didn't need it for my practice, but when I wanted to get my college going, Bowen College, and get it out there, and, at least put it in front of the people who would benefit from learning it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious, it's like, and I haven't resolved it yet, by the way. It's like, you get to the 95% and it's like, why is it not happening? Why why, it's like, and it's something beyond, like, it's not because I don't follow instructions or
Right.
question the instructions and make sure that it makes sense. But there, so that's why I've been looking, okay, is it a soul contract? Is it not? Is it being held back? Is it's not the right time yet? It's almost the right time, and I mean, I've trained, like 2,500 people. It's not like it's not happening, but what I see for it and the need I see is much greater than what I'm manifesting. And I'm a manifester, right? So what is going on?
Comment on that? I mean, I'm seeing some things in your energy field. Would you like me to comment on that? Because
Absolutely. And I'm open.
And let me just say to anybody listening to this, if you happen to be listening to this while you're driving, I'm going to start using energy. And whether you believe that works and whether you believe it works on recording or not, just don't ever listen to anything I'm doing while you're driving. Because a lot of the energies I use are high frequency, and they put you in a bit of an altered state, which makes it easy to let go of the old programming. Not how you want to be when you're driving or chopping vegetables or anything like that. But when you said that, immediately your heart chakra showed up, and it was like, let's take this more metaphorically, but it was like there was like a split down the center, and the two sides of your heart chakra aren't aligned on this. And I think there's karma, there's spiritual contracts involved. And if you want, at some point, I could run some energy for you, but also for everybody who's watching, for whatever's going on with them.
What would your life be like if you were pain-free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
If that you think would be something.
I'm all for. I have no expectations when I start these podcasts, but I love to receive.
So let me introduce one other concept that's important for what we're doing, that again is unique to energetic NLP, and it's called your miraculous self. I mentioned it before, but what it is, it's when your spirit, with its vast awareness, and your deep inner human wisdom become aligned to guide you, nurture you, heal you, and support you. And people often go, well, aren't they naturally aligned? And the answer to that is simple, like, no. In some aspects of your life they are, but many aspects that they're not naturally aligned or automatically aligned. And aligning them is really simple. So the first thing we'll do is align your spirit and your deep inner human wisdom. And then that will create your miraculous self. Then you'll put your miraculous self in charge if you want to. And then when the energy runs, what will happen is what your miraculous self wants. It will pick the parts of the energy it wants to use. It will decide what unconscious programming or spiritual contracts or energetic programming it wants to change. It will replace them with wisdom and knowledge and concepts and skills from your spirit and wisdom. So in energetic NLP processes, most of the time, the role for your conscious mind is you set an intention, you add the word or the phrase or better, because your miraculous self may have something better in mind than you're thinking. And then you give 100% permission to receive the benefits. Because just because we've set an intention doesn't mean we've given permission. They don't automatically go together. So you set your intention or better, you give permission to actually receive it, you give permission for your miraculous self to be in charge. And then the fourth ingredient is the really magic one, and that is use your imagination and pretend. Because when you pretend something, you open up the abilities of your unconscious mind and spirit. And I'm using the word pretend because this isn't faith healing. You don't need to believe it's working. But when the energy is flowing, just pretend that it's happening. Because the way people block it is I go, is it happening? Am I feeling it? Should I be feeling something different? Oh, I thought about something mundane. Should I be thinking, we get in this like hamster wheel of analysis. And if you just bring out your inner playful child and going, okay, I'm pretending miraculous energies are coming into my body and energy field and making my life better. Then later you can analyze it. But while it's going on, just pretend that it's happening. So does that sound good?
Yep. No, it feels good. Mm-hmm.
And the creating of the miraculous self is so simple. People try to make it hard. You set your intention and give permission, and it happens. The other thing I want to mention is this is a case for that grokking. So don't try to figure out what is my spirit, what is my deep inner human wisdom, what is my essence.
Okay.
Your spirit knows all that.
Mm-hmm.
So you just need to set the intention and give permission and get out of the way.
Okay.
The last little piece, when you do energy work, emotions, different things may come up and thoughts, and just whatever comes up, just be mindful of it and just notice it. Don't fight it, don't feed it. Just go, oh, I'm releasing something, and just let it go.
Okay.
So, and again, for everybody listening, just if you want to participate, just set your intention. And give 100% permission to, and add or better, your intention or better. Give 100% permission to receive the benefits. Give 100% permission for your spirit and your deep inner human wisdom to come together now and to create your miraculous self. So your spirit, your deep inner human wisdom are aligning. And just pretend that's happening. And give 100% permission for your miraculous self now to be in charge of the rest of this process. So your conscious mind set intention, gave permission. Now, if your conscious mind puts your miraculous self in charge, then just take a couple easy deep breaths and just pretend this is just a fun little game. And let the energy come in and heal and transform blocks, whether it's unconscious programming, energetic, karmic, spiritual contracts, and to replace those with wisdom, knowledge, concepts, skills, abilities, and attitudes from your miraculous self, from your spirit and wisdom. Just take a few easy, deep breaths, real easy ones. Smiling helps. Easy deep breaths. And for you, Manon, in particular, and just for everybody, I never tried to speak the truth. I don't care how psychic or you are, we all distort the readings, because it has to come through us. The way I would interpret what I'm seeing is that your college will be even more and more successful the more you get more neutral to the medical establishment that you don't approve of. So just to not, I'm not saying go along with them, but just don't, the whole what you resist persists, and just really become more neutral to what they're doing and let the energy go towards blossoming what you're doing. Almost sort of like just being Teflon to that other stuff. Easier said than done, but the message I'm getting for you is the more you work on that, the smoother it'll go for your college, and the more attractive it will be to the right people, because it'll really be coming from your authentic self, which is very loving. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
yeah, I can see that. It's interesting because I'm one of the marketing, schoolings and strategies is that the people who would be attracted are the people who are fed up with, the pain management and everything else that through drugs. So the suggestion was to talk a lot about that, which is interesting. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll try that approach, but
well,
it's not necessarily like, I see this truly as it could be a standalone, it could be complementary. I don't feel overly attached that it's definitely not a drug model. That's the for sure piece,
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, in marketing, one of the things that some people teach is, create an enemy,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Tobacco or the government, and that works. I think it'll work better for you. You can still appeal to people who are you looking for, tired of taking drugs? Are you looking for something, different, blah, blah. Yeah. But it's more your mental state of not seeing the other side as that you're in resistance to them. It's just you're offering something you believe is better.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not, again, I'll go back to the whole, what we resist persists, and it creates that tension. And you know what I'm talking about. So, so again, I'm not saying not to appeal to the people who are looking for something different or complementary, but just doing it, really checking your own energy and going, I'm not in a battle with anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm promoting what I'm.
I don't feel I am, but again, there could be unconsciously, since you're picking it up, I'm going to go, there's probably truth, in naturopathy, I definitely am, because that is a different angle, but in this work, I didn't really feel it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. So I will check in.
Yeah. And A, I could be wrong, and B,
there's always
it's not that it's super strong, but I feel like on an unconscious level, there's still a natural friction. And because I get your real strength comes from you just really come from love on all levels. And Mother Teresa, apparently, according to a story, I don't know if it's true, but it's a good story. It's supposed to be true. Somebody wanted to go to an anti-war rally, and she goes, well, I won't go to an anti-war rally. I will go to a peace rally.
Right. Yeah.
See,
Yeah. Yeah.
and this isn't just for you. This is for everybody listening. We all tend to get into resistance to things, and that's normal. And it's so healing when you kind of go, I'm not playing the game. I'm promoting what I want in the world. I'm not doing it from the battle.
And I think, the point, I was thinking, it's part of my training as a lawyer, right? Like I can argue very well. So I can see that's probably what it is. There's that piece of me. But I think in our times now, it really isn't about, sort of bashing the misinformation or all of that. It must be highlighted. Sure. But what we need is the creative force of going forward, of actually showing, how incredibly beautiful and powerful the body is, and how healing, naturally is not just possible, it's possibly the best choice for certain people, right? That's,
Yeah.
Well,
and the thing is,
it's true.
So when I was a researcher years and years ago at a medical school, now I think this, you wouldn't find this, but there were still a lot of doctors who didn't think emotions had anything to do with health. I mean,
Right.
a lot of them knew it, but there are a lot of them poo-pooed it. And, and I'd have conversations with them, but I would try to do it from a place of that they think they're helping, and they think, it's like, what I mean? So just trying to not be in opposition to them, but just trying to open the door. If I can tell a quick funny story.
Absolutely.
One guy, a researcher, really nice guy. He wasn't a medical doctor, PhD, brilliant guy. And I was studying NLP and the energy work at the time. And he'd make jokes about it to me. That he couldn't believe I was going to believe in this silly stuff. Not in a bad way, but and his girlfriend had a fear of elevators, and a phobia of elevators, and we worked on the 14th floor. So one time, and I was learning how to work with phobias, and I went, I don't know if it'll work, but why don't I'll make up a name, Susan. If you want, let's have lunch, and I'll take you through this process and see if it works. And that was the end of her elevator phobias. And her boyfriend would still sometimes make jokes about what I was studying, and I go, so how's Susan doing with the elevators? And he'd get all red and stuff, because his belief systems were being so challenged.
Right.
I had sympathy for him. I mean, I love teasing him, but he was trapped in his, he meant well, but he was trapped in his limited beliefs. So at my best, I try to be, I'm not saying I don't get triggered. I do, of course, but at my best, I try to go, they're in a belief system that isn't allowing them to hear what I'm saying. And can I find ways to start, making that box bigger?
Yeah. No, that's a great example. Well, so our time is actually up. Is there any last statement you would like to make, and how do people get in touch with you or train with you, or I'm not sure.
So really quickly, we all want to separate our energies back out. So ask your miraculous self to pull your energies out of my space. I'll pull my energies out of your space, and anybody who's listening, and they can pull their energies back. Ask your miraculous self to fill you up, because you always want to fill up after energy work with more of your essence and support of earth and universal energies, and just let your miraculous self figure that out. Then in terms of getting in touch with me, I have a free video series that you get a video a day for 4 days, and it takes people through powerful energy processes, and people learn how to do some of them on their own. And you can rewatch the videos, and they can find those at blockbuster3.com. So one word, blockbuster3.com, and sign up, and they'll get the videos. If they want to contact me directly, they can do its support at Energetic NLP.com. So support at ENERGETIC NLP.com.
Okay, and we'll put that at the bottom of the videos anyways. Audios will be harder. Okay. Well, thanks very much for your time, and thank you for the insights. I appreciate that, and well, I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, you do keep me posted, and thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show. I so appreciate what you're doing in the world, and I hope I've contributed to it.
Well, thank you. Yes, you have. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café with Manon Bolliger. Continue your healing journey by visiting thehealerscafe.com and her website, and discover how to listen to your body and reboot for optimal health.